We're just 2 days away from the 2026 FIFA World Cup to be held in North America. The second one to be held in North America. The second one to also be co-hosted. However, the first to be co-hosted by three nations. Mexico will be hosting the FIFA World Cup for the third time, while the USA will be hosting for the second time since 1994. Canada will be hosting for the for the very first time, with venues in Toronto and Vancouver. Your favorite online informative sports show is back. Good afternoon, welcome to it. My name is Apiwe Roto. A lot has been going on. What is going on at Kaiser Chiefs? Spectators expressed their displeasure at the team performing dismally despite everything that has been going on. We'll be going through that conversation. What's going on at SAFA? Is Dr. Danny Jordan gonna campaign for the fourth time? He has said there's been records of him saying he will not be contesting for the fourth time. However, he's turned around and made it clear that he will be campaigning for the presidential election and to lead the South African Football Association for the fourth time. Talk to me on social media. We are on Facebook, all things football Unpacked. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button on YouTube, comment and tell us what you think and what you would like to hear. The road to Budapest intensifies. The FIFA 2025-2026 football season has reached fever pitch. A lot has happened in the last week. Let's give you news making headlines in the world of football in the last week. We start with Naturena. Kaiser Chiefs Dr. Kaizer Motaung Jr. has broken his silence regarding the co-coaches whose head has been on the chopping block since the dismal display of Kaiser Chiefs players and co-coaches Cedric Kaza and Khalil Ben Youssef, who joined Kaiser Chiefs and during the tenure of the now dismissed coach and coach Nasreddin Nabi. Now, the two coaches were appointed as co-coaches for the remainder of the season. For a brief period, the side did well, however, climbing as high as second on the log. However, they're yet to win a game since January, with the last win dating back to the Marumo Gallants game when they won by an odd goal. March to 2020. From fast forward to March 2026, they had a loss to Orlando Pirates. What is going on at Kaiser Chiefs? Is it management interference? Now, I have something that former coach Ernst Middendorp penned down. I will read it for you towards the end of the show. Speaking to Mr. Robert Mara on Mara 947's Mara Sports Worldwide rather. He states that Kaizer Motaung Jr. spoke saying, as a club, we're constantly evaluating ourselves, our process, and there's a ton of work that has to be done behind the scenes, which is one thing people must know. It's not just about coaches, not just about players, it's about our whole footballing structure. Do they have a structure? Do they have an identity? It is said that Kaiser Chiefs, we've had critics stating that Kaiser Chiefs at the moment are their own worst enemy. It goes on to say the club is making sure we put ourselves in the best position to finish as strong as we can. We know we want to be in the CAF Champions League next year. Right now, Kaiser Chiefs currently lies 6th on the log with 30 points. Currently, they lie 6 on the log. They moved from number 4 to number 6. With a win against Durban City tomorrow, they will jump back to 4th. After 18 matches, they've won 8 games, drawn 6 and lost 4 matches, as they lost 3 successive games to Orlando Stellenbosch, Orlando Pirates, and most recently Richards Bay. We have certain targets it goes on to say, we have certain targets we've set for ourselves, evaluating where we are now, what needs to be done to get there. Trust me, there is a lot that needs to be done. These are just the right person, the right players, and the right personnel. This is just a summary of what Kaizer Motaung Jr. said in the interview. Moving right along, we go overseas. Orkant Burnley defender Kyle Walker has called time on his international career, which raise some question marks, considering that it's almost time. The World Cup is just 3 months shy. We're just 3 months shy of the FIFA World Cup. The 35-year-old defender featured in five major tournaments, namely two FIFA World Cups and three European Championship tournaments, which were held in France, Europe, and of course Germany. The last one dates back to Senegal at the City Ground, which they lost by 2 goals to 1. Making his debut against Spain in November 2011, where he established himself as a regular for the Three Lions. Where he's also applied his trade for Sheffield United, Tottenham Hotspur, and of course Manchester City, where he won the UEFA Champions League and four Premier League titles, to say the least. The 35-year-old took to social media saying, "I'm sad to be making this decision, but I'm also very proud of what I've achieved with England." He said, "Today is the time is that today is the time that comes to an end. It's good for me and a little bit of closure to my career on the international stage. We've tried to change the way that the media looks at football and to take a little bit of pressure off the way you of that you feel that of pressure that you feel playing for England." Now, England have been deemed as the under. And now, when he talks of pressure, you must remember that and England have been on the receiving end of pressure. They've been panned by critics for the longest time with their glory dating all the way back to the year 1966, where they won the FIFA World Cup on home soil. They went on to finish as runners-up in two successive European championships, with the last one which took place all over Europe, which was played at Wembley, by the way. It was a home final for the Three Lions, and the last one they lost by 2 goals to 1 to the La Fiera Roja of Spain. Of course, I think there should be some pressure playing for your country, but we should carry all that because we're the chosen ones who are lucky enough to put on the shirt and represent our country. We like to wish all things football, would like to wish Kyle Walker all the best in his future endeavors, and say thank you on behalf of England. Although all things football is not from England, to say thank you for what he has done for that nation that is. Moving right along, Eswatini's Mamki's. Now last week we spoke about the not so pretty events that took place during the Ingwenyama Cup tournament, Eswatini, where we saw things turn violent. We saw spectators run onto the field, cause riot, getting hold of the referee who was running for his life and assaulted him. Now, these are scenes we do not like to see in the beautiful game, as they taint the image of the beautiful game, causing violence. Now, when a story that just came on, they just put something out. Now, Babane Highlanders AM, which is owned by our very own Sean Mkize, Sean Mkize. Babane Highlanders AM were called before have been eliminated from the Ingwenyama Cup following crowd trouble, which escalated at the Mavuso Sports Center in Emanzini. Now, the Premier League of Eswatini Bayside were called to a disciplinary hearing where they pleaded not guilty to the offences that were put on. They pleaded guilty when they were tasked with pleading their innocence, or a better word thereof. The Premier League of Eswatini Bayside were called to a disciplinary hearing before a committee after the club's spectators took to the pitch to attack the referee during a game against Nsingizini Hotspur after Nsingizini Hotspur scored a goal in stoppage time. Now, the Capital Giants have since been charged on 3 accounts where despite pleading innocent during the hearing at the Sikwata House in Babane, they were found guilty of these offences, which came with a 5,000 rand for causing the abandonment, 25,000 rand for causing the game to be abandoned, 50,000 rand for the assault on the referee, and 3,000 rand for failure to control the spectators, which is 78,000 rand in total. Besides the fine, Inkunzi have been forced to forfeit the match Nkunzi, which is the Babane Highlanders, have been forced to forfeit the match. Spurs will now progress to the quarterfinals of the Ngwenyama Cup. Speaking to Highlanders manager Richard Makoba, says the team are still to meet with their legal team before a decision is taken on whether or not they will appeal the ruling. Now, Stone, they've made a released a statement stating that at the moment I can't say anything. We still have to meet with our legal team. He said he asked to be called. This is Richard Makoba, who was manager of the side. Then Gwenyama Cup is, by the way, the brainchild of King Swati the Third of Eswatini. Moving right along, moving on to our next story, we saw Bafana head coach Hugo Bros has named a 36-man preliminary squad for the two upcoming fixtures against Panama towards the end of March, with the first one on the 27th of March or the last at the Moses Mabhida Stadium. Now, Bafana have not played at the Moses Mabhida Stadium since October last year in the FIFA World Cup qualifier, where they were held to a goalless draw by the Warriors of Zimbabwe, before moving to Cape Town at the DHL Stadium, which was a stadium built before the 2010 FIFA World Cup. These friendlies will serve as a warm up will serve as preparation for the upcoming FIFA World Cup, which kicks off on the 11th of June with South Africa taking on Mexico, a repeat of the 2010 World Cup opener on the 11th of June to the 19th of July rather, or with Bafana are drawn in Group A against Mexico, Korea Republic, with the fourth opponent yet to be decided between the Czech Republic, Denmark, Republic of Ireland, and of course Macedonia. Not forgetting Panama who find themselves in Group L with England, Croatia, and Ghana. Now the full squad will be announced this coming Thursday on the 19th of March. I beg your pardon. It's a 36-man squad which will be trimmed down to 23 men. Now, Coach Hugo Bros has been specific in how he prefers to work with a small group of players because it's difficult. Reason being, he finds it difficult to balance a large number of players. Currently on the squad, we have Ronan Williams, Ricardo Gorse, Pochene, Ronaldo Lina, Darren Johnson, while your defenders include Kuliso Madao, Oletu Makanya, Diano van Roy, Tabang Matuludi, Sivuyo Lutlapa, Tylen Smith, Nkosnadi Sibisi, Aubrey Modiba, Kulumani Damane, Ime Okon, Samukelo Kabini, and of course Mbeke Zelimbogazi. Your midfielders include Tebogo Mokoena, Jaden Adams, Talent Mbata, Ndamurero Mapangule, Nteteleli Mtiane, Luke Leroux, Pepelo Stole, Bongo Kuhle Shang and Bungo Kuhle Shlongwane, while your forwards include Oswin Apollos, Tepang Moremi, Evidence Mahopa, Burnley's Olayo Foster, Ekrem Reines, Relebukhile Mufukeng, Themba Zwane, Patrick Masonganye, Ianela Mbutuma, Mtetheleli Mtiane, and of course Kamugelo Sibelebele, Mohau Nkota, and not last but not least, Tapelo Morena. Now, moving on to our penultimate story, Kaiser Chiefs have put out a statement following their protests which took place at the Nigeria club's base at the Nigeria headquarters. Now, Kaiser Chiefs were beaten in 4 games in a row where they lost to not but 5 to be exact, where they lost to Zamalek at home, and which saw them eliminated for the CAF Confederations Cup. Stellenbosch leaving them without a trophy, having eliminated them in the Nedbank Cup round of 32, where they went as defending champions. Stellenbosch, by the way, did a double, beating them with the same scoreline, with a 2-1 scoreline in both the cup and the league, doing their first double over Kaiser Chiefs for the first time since the 2021-2022 season. And of course, the 3-0 win from last week against Orlando Pirates. Not forgetting the odd goal loss to Richards Bay at the Mhlathuze Sports Complex. Now, in a protest which was led by one fan, Diaganyo Mahato, who was at the forefront of leading the outcry at the spectators not being happy with what is going on at the club. Corporate communications manager at the Soweto Giants took to social media to speak with the spectators, stating that as Kaizer Chiefs, we value our supporters deeply and recognize their passion over the last 56 years. We would like to acknowledge that the recent performances on the pitch have been challenging, and as a collective, we work tirelessly to turn the situation around. He pointed out. He made mention of the fact that the club has handed over Mahato's interviews to the police. While respect the right of the fans to voice their concerns, we strongly condemn the protest organized by Mahato, supported by those who accompanied him, some of whom were were intoxicated, which posed a danger of the proceedings. Now we do not condone. We ask people to drink responsibly. We condemn spectators who take part in anything that is football related under the influence of alcohol or intoxicated or whatever, as it causes danger to impose a danger and it creates unnecessary chaos. There were threats of violence, ultimatums directed at the club. We've seen Kaizer Chiefs spectators voice their displeasure through violence over the years, throwing missiles at the team, players, at the team and the players, and on the pitch. We saw what happened during the 2018 Nedbank Cup semi-final against the then now defunct Free State Stars in a game that they lost by 2 goals to nil in the semi-final. We do not condone that form of behavior, as it taints the image of the beautiful game. We also saw the same scenario at the NEC meeting, which took place, the SAFA NEC meeting, which took place at SAFA. Now, we do not condone such. Mr. Gayton McKenzie, who's the Minister of Sport, Arts and Culture, has strongly condemned the events that took place at the meeting, calling them embarrassing and tainting the beautiful game. That does not, now the statement goes on to say, that does not mean we don't recognize who supporters don't belong to branches. Name calling and threats of violence directed at branch members will not be tolerated. We note the concern that certain untruths have been spread by Mahato, which are not contained in the document he and his compatriots were handed to our representatives on Saturday. In the name of transparency and honesty, we want to urge our supporters to engage constructively rather than misinformation and distraction. Now, this is just some of what was said on the story. On to our last story. We have on to our last document. We have what the former tactician and Mr. Ernst Middendorp, who plied his trade at Kaizer Chiefs on 2 occasions, and we took to social media to explain, to have his 2 cents regarding everything that's been happening at Kaizer Chiefs. Now, he goes on to say Kaizer Chiefs now this is a rather lengthy one. He goes on to say Kaizer Chiefs is a monster of a club. Anyone who wants to coach this club, anyone who wants to coach this team must understand the magnitude of the natural environment. The club carries enormous history, a massive supporter base across the country, constant media attention, and media pressure for its permanent pressure for results. Every decision is discussed publicly. Every weakness is quickly and totally exposed. To operate in such an environment, a coach needs a real expertise, emotional resilience, strong leadership, and an unbeatable confidence. He must have the ability to remain calm under pressure, show conviction in his work, make decisions with authority and a certain stubbornness. We've had this conversation before where coaches have mentioned we do not want yes man. A lot of the coaches from abroad have been vocal about how coaching big teams is not for a yes man, not a coach who will be told to jump, who will touch the ceiling, or ask how high whenever they are told to jump. You need to be firm, you need to stand by what you believe in, and you need to have the final decision. Now, we've had the coaches decide to call time on their job, citing management interference over who gets to play, who to select, which team to select, and when. Now the story goes on to say. A certain stub. The coach, who's also a technical director, it goes on to say a certain stubbornness in a positive sense is evident. The courage to stand by your football ideas when the noise around the team becomes overwhelming. One of the key responsibilities of the coach is to identify the real capacity of each player. What can they truly deliver? What are their strengths, limitations, and consistent levels? Only when this assessment is done can the coach build the most suitable structure and tactical setup for the team. This means coaching is not about following dreams, wishes, or public expectations. It is about working with reality. The team must come from the individual capacity of the players available, not from theoretical ideas that do not match the squad. Each innovative even innovative concepts can emerge from this process in a certain situation. A helicopter concept, which made, if you remember clearly, did the rounds during Coach Middendorp's second tenure at Kaiser Chiefs, when they finished runners up, losing the league on match day 30 to Mamelodi Sundowns after failing to beat Baroka, if you remember clearly, during the COVID era. Oh, now the now this was posted on Coach Middendorp's social media account. It goes on to say, each innovative concept can each even innovative concepts can emerge from this process. In certain situation, even a helicopter concept or unconventional structures develop simply because the coach carefully analyze the players and try to organize them in a way that maximizes their strengths and protect their weaknesses. At a club like Kaiser Chiefs, coaching leadership means clear assessment, courage in decision making, and even a structure that reflects the real capacity of the squad, not an illusion of what people would like to see. Moving right along, we take you back. With that being said, we take you to what had transpired last week in terms of football with the results. We give you what just happened with the results last week rather, in the Nedbank Cup. Nedbank Cup, with the quarter final, took center stage with David proving too strong for after Amas Castric Stars needed extra time to win by 2-1, when they decide Chauke, who netted a goal in second period of extra time, while Melfort needed penalties to win by 3-2 after they could not put the game to bed during regulation time and extra time after a 2-all draw. The TS Galaxy proving too strong for Jackson Spears, beating them by 2-0 on Sunday, while Golden Arrows and Durban City in a Durban derby were held to a 1-0 draw, with Durban City winning by 5-4 on penalties. On to your others. Here's what you can expect from a Nedbank Cup semi-final point of view, which your matches which will be played on the 4th of April, with the TS Galaxy game likely to be played at the Solomon Mahlangu Stadium, KwaMhlanga, where they've had almost all their games in the Nedbank Cup from the last 32. Question is, are we now might be in for an all KZN final or an all Mpumalanga final, something Mr. Tim Sukucha, TS Galaxy chairman, Mr. Tim Sukazi, has been very vocal about. On to our Betway Premiership fixtures midweek, we saw Orbit College go down to Mamelodi Sundowns by 2-0. Orlando Pirates proved too strong for Richards Bay, winning by 2-0. Those were just some of our midweek fixtures. So when UEFA Champions League took center stage, with Galatasaray doing a double on Liverpool, who they beat in the league phase by an odd goal. Bayern Munich too strong for Atalanta in Bergamo, beating them by 6 goals to 1. Newcastle and Barcelona could not be separated, playing to a 2-2 draw, which will serve for an interesting return leg at the Nou Camp. Atletico Madrid beating Tottenham Hotspur by 5 goals to 2. Wednesday, we saw Bayer Leverkusen and Arsenal play to a 1-1 draw as they could not be separated. Real Madrid too strong for Manchester City as they met for the third successive time in the Champions League, winning by 3 goals to 0. Bodo Klimt too strong for Sporting, beating them by the same 3-0 scoreline, while defending champions Paris Saint-Germain handed Chelsea their first loss under Champions League loss under coach Liam Rosenior by 5 goals to 2. Last night we saw the weekend fixtures kick off with Stellenbosch instead TS Galaxy failing to with Stellenbosch failing holding TS Galaxy to a draw after Wonderboy Makubu quickly cancelled his juniors and Donga's first half goal to play to a 1-0 draw. Speaking of which, with the Champions League, we saw John Oblak, who plies his trade for Real Madrid, joined the 100 club goalkeepers, equaling the record held by former Bayern Munich goalkeeper and captain in Oliver Kahn, and with Victor Valdez topping with the 100 club led by the now retired Iker Casillas, who plied his trade with Real Madrid where he had the most success. Second in Manuel Neuer, who's currently out with an injury on 157, while the now retired Gianluigi Buffon sits on 124. Peter Cech, who's also retired, is currently on 111, while Victor Valdez, formerly of Barcelona, is on 106. John Oblak equals former Bayern Munich and German captain and Oliver Kahn with 103. Here's what you can expect this week on the Betway Premiership. We are just an hour and a half away before we see Magesi take on struggling Magesi take on Chipper United as Alan Frisk looks to save a sinking ship that is Magesi FC taking on Chipper United at the Seshego Stadium. Kickoff for that fixture is at 15:30. Orlando Pirates welcome Siwelele FC at the Orlando Amstel Arena. Merimo Gallants take on Golden Arrows, while Amazulu take on Richards Bay at the KZN Derby. We finish off with Kukuda United taking on Polokwane City. Sunday, we see Kaizer Chiefs welcome Durban City to the FN to Durban City, looking to retain to go back to their form. They are yet to win since January, losing 4 fixtures, which has left many and left displeasure with the spectators, as we reported earlier. Premier League fixtures, here's how they line up. Burnley take on Bournemouth. Sunderland take on Brighton. Early kickoff for those fixtures is 1700 hours. Chelsea take on Newcastle. Arsenal take on Everton. While we'll finish off with West Ham taking on Manchester City. Late kickoff, which kicks off at 2200 hours. Crystal Palace on Sunday will welcome Leeds United. Manchester United, who lost their last game to Newcastle, handed their first defeat under coach Michael Carrick, will welcome Aston Villa. Nottingham Forest will take on Fulham, and the much anticipated encounter will see Liverpool take on Tottenham Hotspur. We'll finish off, we conclude Monday Night Football with Brentford taking on the struggling Wolves. Return leg in the Champions League fixtures, we're turning our attention to the UEFA Champions League. We'll see Sporting take on Bodo Klimt, looking to overturn that 3-0 loss. Chelsea will be looking to turn a 5-2 defeat when they welcome Paris Saint-Germain to the Stamford Bridge. Manchester City will be looking to overturn a 3-0 loss at the City of Manchester Stadium when they take on the Los Blancos, the team's tournament's most successful side, while Arsenal will welcome Bayer Leverkusen at the Arsenal Stadium on Tuesday. Wednesday sees Barcelona take on the Magpies of Newcastle. Tottenham Hotspur take on Atletico Madrid. Galatasaray will be looking to to overturn the scoreline, to keep up the scoreline, or even add more pressure on Liverpool when they will travel to Anfield to take on the England's most successful side in European competition before we finish off with Bayern Munich and Atalanta. And that's all we have time for on all things football, football Unpacked. Hope you enjoyed the show. Remember to communicate with me. Tell me what you think of the show. Tell me if you enjoy the show. Tell me what you would like to hear going forward. Do communicate with us, like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube, All Things Football, Football Impact. We are available on TikTok at All Things Football _14. Instagram, All Things Football _14. Not forgetting Facebook for All Things Football, Football Unpacked. For myself, Apiwe Roto, as I always say, do the noble thing. Take care of yourselves and each other. Enjoy the football. Cheers.